Today on Build Biology, I'm stepping in for Dan while he's out of town. So for that reason, I had to bring in something extra rad. You may have seen this guy before. He's been here with some really oddball creations, and he's been featured on a new Netflix show, Fastest Car. Maybe you should check that out too. Today, he's got something extra special for us. What's up, Bisimoto?
Hello, Vin. Good to see you.
What's up, bud?
Oh, nothing special. Just brought something very unique just for this Build Biology today.
Tell the people a little bit about yourself, and then let's get into what this car is.
Well, my name is Bisi Ezerioha. I'm the owner and founder of Bisimoto Engineering in Ontario, California. We do crazy things. We take cars that are exciting and some not so exciting and make them absolutely spectacular.
Well, this is an exciting car, so
Thank
tell
you.
us what you have here.
Well, this is something that is extremely unique and a vehicle that we're extremely proud of. It started its life as a base 2000 model year Porsche 986, which many of you may know as a Boxster.
Oh, this is a Boxster, not a Cayman.
It was a Boxster, a Boxster. We wanted something very driver-centric. I've had the opportunity to race quite a few Boxsters and Caymans and wondered how could I take it to the next level. That next level is what's right behind me right now.
Well, I mean, this thing looks really unique. So let's take a sec and talk about the outside. Tell us a little bit about what you did to the exterior, because this obviously doesn't look like a Boxster in the front. This is looks like a 997 front end-ish.
Well, yes, to pay homage to Porsche and what they've done in the racing community, we opted for a 997 GT3 front end, courtesy of our friends from Extreme Dimensions. We also converted the fender area to a 987 look as well.
Oh, so it's a GT3
yes,
front
997
bumper
GT3 front bumper
with a
997 front end fender.
So it's
with some
molded
covers.
in?
That is correct.
Okay.
As you can imagine, the key to going fast is to, of course, make power, but you want to take advantage of any free horsepower you can get.
So
we try and lighten up as much as we can. So you'll see
carbon hood.
Extensive use of carbon fiber.
So you got carbon hood, carbon fenders, carbon
light covers, the splitter in front, and we did something really custom with our friends from APR, and you see that's carbon fiber as well. And forgive a little bit of dirt here and there. We track the car hard.
Oh,
we
so
don't play around. This is a proper track car.
That's why I like Bisi.
With reinforcement, as you can see outside here, we have these bars that help reinforce, and it goes to the bumper beam itself.
That goes to the bumper beam, nice.
So it can allow you to be able to take advantage of any downforce opportunities that exist on the track.
So when the air is pushing down on this, it's really creating the weight on the front tires.
What's great about this, we have a nice track in Fontana, California, where it's that long stretch with a slight roval.
Oh yeah,
you get as you're
fast
racing,
on that.
once you get past 148 miles an hour, you feel the car come down. It's so amazing. The downforce is absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
And allows us to improve track time significantly as well.
Cool.
Now, something you may notice that's very, very cool in the culture nowadays are fender flares bolt-on. And we prefer the bolt-on ones because if you ever have a mishap at the track, you can easily unbolt them and change them at the track without any qualm whatsoever. But also allow us to play around with different tire and wheel combinations.
Nice. Well, this is, I like that you even went as far as getting the anodized red Allen bolts there, so they're even, looks really nicely blended in.
Thank you so much, Vin. One thing about us is that we love going fast, but we love looking good going fast too.
What size tires are you putting up front? You got
so we have some
235, 35.
Yes, from Toyo. These are R888s, and we wanted something that can challenge the driver as well. So we didn't go with crazy slicks. We went R888 compounds, which are very nice. It's a perfect mix between adhesion and longevity, but they wrap around these gorgeous carbon fiber wheels.
Man, when you said you were trying to shave weight off everything, I didn't realize that you were going to even have carbon wheels. What do these things weigh?
These are pure carbon wheels. They're less than 20 pounds each.
For 19s?
These are 19s.
19s,
yeah,
that
19
weigh
by
less
8.5 in the front and 19 by 12 in the rear, which is really, really nice.
That's wild.
Now, above and beyond the lightweight, which most people, that's the first thing they see is the lightweight and looks. The rigidity is fantastic, extremely rigid, so you don't get the flex you may see in aluminum wheels, and that translates to great feel for the driver. And here's what's even more exciting. The amount of weight that we save on these wheels and the integrity of the wheel itself and strong structure is equivalent to us putting a good 50 to 70 horsepower in the car. So it really makes a huge difference.
Take notes, rotational weight.
Absolutely.
Well, what about door? I don't even want to talk about this yet. What about doors are factory?
So doors are factory
out?
issue, just gut it out. The mechanisms are out and the windows are out, and we wanted something that, once again, not doesn't break the budget too much, but on the same token, something that can be very good in allowing us to go make quicker lap times.
Well, these definitely are not factory.
Believe it or not, they are. These
They
are the
are?
factory vents, but we utilize them. So behind this vent,
Sorry guys, I'm not a boxer
no worries.
guy.
Behind these vents is a fan mechanism that really evacuates air, hot air from the engine compartment.
Oh, so this isn't pulling air, this
No,
is pushing air
it's
out.
pushing air out. So we are using the fan out to push air out of the engine bay to keep engine temperatures in
Okay.
control as well. And we control that with our engine management solution, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Cool.
So fender flares in the rear as well.
And what size tires out back?
Well, these are really, really nice. As you can see, they're ultraviolet so as well. They're 325,
Oh, wow.
30. As I always say, we have the meats.
Yeah.
So it's really, really nice.
And this is pretty well balanced because you have a 235 out front, but then
Yes.
you have a 325 in the back.
Absolutely.
But this still, it doesn't understeer at all?
It is the best car that I've ever driven. It's handled so well. It's so balanced. It's like a go-kart on steroids.
This guy's got a lot of really awesome cars, so that means a lot. Like when we
Thank
say
you.
that doesn't really mean anything, but when he says it, it's something.
Thank you. So going to the rear to balance out the front splitter, we have a nice GT wing from APR as well. And we have a very neutral rake in it as well, which is very, very nice. And
So you're
then
talking about the actual pitch
the angle
on it,
itself. Yes,
because
so we have it
too
very
much
neutral, very
too
zero.
much pitch gives you a lot of drag,
Too
right?
much pitch would actually not even give too much drag, but may give us a little bit too much downforce and upset the front.
Oh,
so we
okay.
wanted something
So
that,
it's
once
a
again,
balance.
balanced. Very good. Balance is key with this
Right.
car. And then it's also held up with these uprights that are custom made and designed in-house.
How do you adjust your arrow on the back on your downforce? Like,
So-
what do you go out on track and test, or do you wind tunnel?
So we've done quite a few things.
Okay.
We've tested on the track, and we have a very interesting trick. We put dabs of oil on the wing, and we follow the trail. And that allows us to see how that boundary layer exists on the wing. And then we play around with rake quite a bit. But as you drive this vehicle and you increase the rake angle or attack angle, you can feel a difference immediately. The
Right.
car is very sensitive. And as a driver, because you're also in a very interesting seating position, we will get to very, very soon, it gives you this feeling. You feel everything. It's like you're connected to the car.
Is that because of the weight of the car?
The weight and also where you sit, which we'll
So
talk about.
what does this car weigh?
Right now it's 2550.
2550.
Yes, yes. Very,
Dry,
very lightweight.
filled up.
Complete wet without driver. 2550.
2550.
And make some good power too.
Yeah, I bet. All right. Well, what about this top? Because
Yes.
this is something super unique. I mean,
So this is a top that was molded to look like that of a Cayman. There's actually used a Cayman as a mold. I put my little fingerprint there.
okay.
But,
So I wasn't completely wrong.
yeah, you
Because
wasn't
I
completely
always
wrong.
thought this was a Cayman.
Yeah, from a distance, it looks like 100% a Cayman, but what gives it away are the side scoops. So what gives it away, and you can see the demarcation, of course, here,
Right.
which is not what you would see on a Cayman. But this roof is carbon fiber, and when we get to the interior, I'll show you the weave inside.
Yeah.
Extremely lightweight and extremely rigid as well, which is pretty cool.
There we go. We can see some of that in there.
And since data is extremely important to us, you'll notice this small device here, that is a GPS antenna, because we do have it connected to a Racepack Vantage system, which also communicates with my AEM Infinity to allow us to not only monitor the speeds on and off the track, but also give us real-time track mapping as
Is
well.
this the 3-axis data point? So
Yes, it is.
tells
It can
you
also
your-
tell us yaw and pitch and everything that we need to know about the car and how the driver is driving. The great thing about that is it's cloud-based, so you have the opportunity to have let's say that your crew chief is not on site. He can remotely, anywhere in the world, as long as he or she has internet access, can view what you're doing on the track real time. It's really cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, speaking about interior, I mean,
Yes.
this is exciting. You wanna? Can we pop this top off and take a look?
Yes, we can actually. I may
Cool.
need some help, but we can make it happen. No
I
problem.
got you, bud. Let's take a look at this. This thing looks equally as wild with the roof off.
Thank you.
Look at this.
So as you see,
Let
this
me
is
make sure we could
no worries.
see what's going on here.
As you see, this is a vehicle that's extremely driver-centric. It is a center drive chassis. As you can see, this Momo seat. This is a Safari Daytona XL that's sitting right in the middle. And it's fixed, so it does not move. But here's what gets really exciting. You have that Rothfab plate right there, which allows for a telescopic opportunity. So whether someone is 5'3", or 6'6", the seat stays fixed, you have the opportunity to continue to have perfect balance in terms of the vehicle dynamics, and then you can move the pedal forward or backward to adjust to your height.
Wow, that's smart. So basically what you're saying is that you can corner balance this vehicle.
Which it has been.
But then change the weight of the driver.
That is correct.
And it does not change because all you'll do is move the pedals forward or back.
That is correct.
Wow.
And if you have this steering wheel holder right here, it just goes in the middle. And you can adjust the steering wheel height as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow, cool. These are all just Heim joints, so you can
adjust
literally
it to
just
drive it like
adjust the height because they're threaded.
That is correct.
Oh, wow, that's super cool.
Yes. And as you take a look at this as well for the information center, we have this AEM CD7 dash, which when I turn it on now, you'll see a quick flash screen showing one of my most popular creations, the Bisimoto 850 Porsche 911. And then
we're gonna have to bring that back.
that sounds good to me. And then we have, of course, the dash from AEM, which is really cool, nice. And shows all parameters. And the great thing about this as well is you can also change the screen. You can just click on the buttons, and each screen will come up and change from time to time. And you can go back and change the different screens as well.
Oh, cool. So you're changing the gauges
there.
Yes,
that is correct.
Awesome.
And so you can see different things that you can program as as an enthusiast, which is really cool.
That's awesome. So what about these buttons right here? You got two pass.
Oh, very nice.
What is two pass? Is that a
This is a new wrapper. It's a wrapper, actually.
Yeah. Is that a boost ramp up button?
It is. So it's a push to pass. Let me turn this off. So it's a push to pass button, which increases the duty to the boost control solenoid. So at wastegate, this vehicle makes 420 horsepower. With this button, it adds a little bit over 100, and you get to 526, which is pretty exciting.
This is like video games in real life.
It's like NOS when you hit it.
Get out of here.
It's like a KERS event that you would see with a lot of F1 teams, McLaren and so on and so forth, but you don't have to regenerate. It's there all the time. It just increases boost duty.
I don't even know what to say about that. That's friggin' amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then what? This isn't serious, right? This is a joke.
It is a line lock.
I have a line lock on this
just for you guys. I had that line lock made, which is really interesting. So if
comment below if you need to see Bisi come back here and do a burnout.
Let me know.
I didn't think that was even.
This is a Hoonigan button. I should have changed that to Hoonigan. Something that's also very interesting is we have, in 2000, this chassis wasn't drive-by-wire, but we now have a drive-by-wire pedal assembly incorporated into the wheelwood pedal box, for lack of a better word. A nice footrest for you. Here you can put your iPhone or any other phone for the race pack data, so you can look at data real time as well.
No way.
Which is pretty cool, and that ties in by Bluetooth to the race pack Vantage system, which is pretty cool. So that's very nice. Man. And here's something else as we're talking about interior. And I may have to start the car to show this.
Oh, what are we looking at?
But let me go ahead and start this up. So you also have a rear view camera.
Oh, wow. All right.
That's real time that can also show you.
Get out of here. You got a race car with a backup camera?
Absolutely. So that way it can naturally look like a rear view mirror because you can't see through your head, obviously.
Right.
So it's set up in such a way that you can have a natural look up and see what's behind you with some reference points as well, which is pretty nice.
Wow, that's amazing. So that's actually something that I didn't even consider.
Understood.
Is that a rear view mirror mounted in the center would just look right at your face.
Absolutely. But with this camera system, we have the opportunity to not only look up like you naturally would in any car, you have a clear view with demarcations on how far any drivers are behind you, which is pretty nice.
Wow.
In this area, here's where a lot is going on. For those of you who build cars can recognize quite a few things here. I'm very big on efficiency. An air-to-air intercooler would be extremely difficult, and also not as efficient. So this is a Spearco Turbonetics liquid-to-air intercooler. Each turbo feeds into the hot side of the intercooler. There's a liquid medium where we have a reservoir tank here, a pump down there that sends fluids. It's a little mixture of deionized water, ethylene glycol, and a little bit of water vapor through a CSF GT3 center radiator in the front to allow for heat exchange. And what that does in turn is allow for what I feel is extremely beneficial, an environment where the intercooler does a great job in keeping the intake charge cold, and I never see temperatures above ambient when on the track, which is really nice. So With air-to-airs, I'm okay with 20 degrees above ambient. This is so efficient, it stays at ambient.
And this is your only water tank?
That is the water tank for that. So you
So
think about water tank.
it's not a ton of capacity, huh?
It's not, but if you think about the fluid, and you just beat me to it, you think about the fluid that's contained here, the fluid in the intercooler, the fluid in the lines, it's quite a bit of volume.
Oh, because so you have the heat exchanger
all the
is
way
up here.
in the front.
So you actually have
right there.
Okay, cool.
So that's a CSF GT3 radiator that we are using as a front-mounted heat exchanger for the liquid-to-air intercooler.
So what Bisi's getting at is that you have that smaller tank mounted out back, the water that's in the intercooler, but then you also have what, dash 10 lines?
Dash 10 all the
So you
way
have dash 10 lines going all the way to the front.
Actually, dash 12. I stand corrected.
Dash 12. Lines going all the way to the front into the heat exchanger. So you do actually have a lot of capacity.
A lot of capacity.
And it's probably cooling quite a bit on its way back as well, right?
Which is very nice. And the reason why we have to do that is if you think about it, this is a turbocharged application, and you may have glanced that up a little bit earlier. Whenever you compress air, the temperature goes up. So temperature is directly proportional to pressure. So the more boost, the more temperature. You can't force that into the engine, because if you do, it puts it in an opportunity where you start knocking or pinging, could hurt the engine. So the best thing to do is to cool down that intake charge, and intercooler is the best way of doing that as well.
Okay. And what fuel do you run?
You're really good. It's like we're psychic here. So
not scripted.
I love having fun, but I also like having fun with less guilt. So I'm a huge advocate of fuels that are more friendly to the environment. I run this on pump E85 from Propel. Not only does it give me a wider tuning window, it's a wonderful fuel with great caloric content. As you think about it, the way to make power is to force as much air as possible to an engine. It's one way, with appropriate amount of fuel as well, but also the caloric content of the fuel affects power as well. So, something you may see here is that large device from Precision. That is a very large blow-off valve. And the reason why you need that blow-off valve is if you're compressing air into the engine, as we typically do in a boost situation, when you let off the throttle and close it, that boost has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It can back up into the turbo, destroy it. It can bend your throttle body. It can wreak havoc on the engines, or with a blow-off valve, escape through that device, that valve. And that allows your turbos and engine to stay safe, which is very nice.
So even though compressor surge sounds really cool, it's not actually the best thing for your engine.
It's very damaging.
So I'm looking at this thing, and the intercooler piping, it's cool because you got, we have the two turbos,
yes,
right? And these are what?
These are Precision billet turbos. It's a custom issue, hovers in the 57 millimeter range, has a capacity combined to make 700 wheel horsepower, which is really nice. And above and beyond that, there's some small things we had to do to make it very efficient. Since we're road racing in environments that can be quite dusty and untidy, filtration is extremely important. So you see these AEM dry flow filters with a pre-filter on them as well. As you can imagine, if you are on the track with all type of elements, you want to be able to keep your engines clean and protected. Then a little bit below that is something that's really interesting. It's a drip tank. And this drip tank is really required because, as you can imagine, with turbos that have to be cooled and lubricated with oil, in our case, pure oil is what we use, you have to have an opportunity to drain back and not have the oil take a path of least resistance if you don't have good flow here, which would be through the turbine itself.
So basically, on a traditional turbo car, what happens is your turbo sits way above your oil pan.
Yes.
And your feed comes in high pressure, but the return is just a gravity-fed device that goes back into the pan. But when your turbos hang lower than your engine or are way back here where your engine is not, you need a way that evacuates that oil out. Otherwise, you'll get buildup at the bottom and it'll shoot it right out the exhaust side.
Very true.
So this is a really clever way of coming up with it.
You want to be able to create a gravity event for that scavenge pump to pull from. And of course, you don't want the scavenge pump to pull in a closed environment because that could kill the seals in the turbo.
Right.
So we have a vent here, tube, that goes up into the bumper system to allow a gravity-fed environment. So think of this as a mini tank or a mini pan, and then the scavenge pump pulls from that pan.
The pump is after the Y down here?
Yep, way down there. You can see right there.
Cool.
So when you get on the lift, you have a clearer view of her.
You can't actually see the engine on this, and that's like something I was looking at was like, you have the turbos, right? You have two individual pipes.
Two individual pipes, and we have
feed
these
the intercooler.
We have these Vangin clamps from Vibrant, which is extremely robust
these
and
are
can
like-
hand up to 200 PSI, which is really, really nice.
And the beauty of these is that this is hard mounted.
Yes.
These are not.
Yes.
But there is there's
movement.
some flex
Absolutely.
in there, so you're not
Absolutely.
breaking clamps or pipes.
And same thing here, you can do this, there's flex here as well, going to the engine, and we're using, heavy duty, vibrant engines as well. And everything is controlled by an AM Infinity, which is really nice, a specific AM Infinity designed for Porsches.
So
for the flat sixes.
following the piping, go turbos, intercooler, and that means that your engine is somewhere over here.
Right here in the middle. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, this is a driver-centric vehicle. It's all about the driver. So you have a mid-engine vehicle that is extremely balanced. How can we take it to the next level? Put the seat in the middle. So this is all about the drive. It feels like how every car should feel on the track. Absolutely balanced. Fantastic.
When he says every car, he means like how like an F1 car actually feels. So not like stuff for common folk like most of you and I. We forgot one thing.
Yes, the front of the vehicle.
We didn't. This is a Porsche, so
the
there's
front.
no engine under the hood, but there has to be something.
Pull my
You got a
lever.
little hidden tow hook.
Yep, right there.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, cool. So you got your fuel cell up
So I
here.
have a fuel cell here, which is
How-
very easy
how
to
big is
open.
this?
It's a 26 gallon.
A what?
26.
26-gallon fuel
Well,
cell?
if you imagine E85 is consumed a lot more than petrol, so I
Right.
use about 30 to 40% more fuel, so my mileage suffers that much. So you can easily empty this in a session.
Right.
And a Magna Fuel 625 pump and an Odyssey battery.
What about, does this help with weight displacement? Because I'm assuming that since
Yes.
this car is so light.
Well, I want to say like it helps with the balance. Having the tank this far forward is really, really nice as well. And as you see, we have this very clever vent tube that is circular in such a way so that if I do have a flip over situation, this is much taller than the chassis. So I won't have fuel coming out. So it's very clever.
And what about fuel system wise on this? You have.
So we have inside here, you cannot see it, but it's a Holley hydromat, which is a very unique mat system that absorbs fuel. It can even absorb fuel if a tip of the mat is immersed in the fuel. So it's
cool.
very good.
Yeah,
So
because this is, so that feeds it gives
Yes.
head pressure to your.
So
main
it acts as a
pump, right?
filter and a feed as well, and then goes into the Magna Fuel 625 pump, which is a very loud G-rotor pump. That's what you heard come in.
Yep.
And then brake lines that goes underneath the vehicle and feeds all the way to a Kinsler filter under the car.
Cool.
And then to the 1000cc injectors, which we have 6 of them on the engine itself.
You got a lightweight battery.
Yep, from Odyssey, which is really nice.
And what's some of this stuff? You got some hot lines here.
so
is that like a?
These are the brake systems. So you can see
Okay.
the brakes that we telescoped inside the car are fed through here and go and split into the braking system. So I used custom lines by G&J, steel braided, steel lines to go to the entry levels for factory.
Okay. I'm kind of itching to see this thing up on the lift because I know that it probably has quite a bit of suspension goodies under there.
Absolutely.
I'll load it on the lift.
Sounds good. Cool.
You could actually see the coolers up in here now, even better
Yes, you can.
up in there. So you have 2 CSF coolers.
That
These
is
are your
correct.
radiators, right?
Yes, they are.
This is the water for the engine.
Yes, and it is superior to what we had in factory. Has much more robust end tanks and a higher fin count than factory, allowing for much better heat exchange and cooling when racing.
So heat exchanger for the intercooler,
That's correct.
radiator for the engine on both sides.
That is correct.
Cool. And then obviously we got this big old splitter.
Yes,
Full length, right?
that is correct. And you can see we have it mounted to the body itself in the rear, so we won't have any flapping issues.
Yeah.
You can see some contact here, and that's from the racetrack.
See some use over
Some
there.
use. And what happened here was we had very small washers without any additional reinforcements, and I was actually, based upon downforce at high speeds, pulling the threads out of the support.
That's
so
gnarly.
that flapped and started hitting the track. So now we reinforce it further and put
cool.
larger washers to
You have this
have
supporting the
more,
beam.
more of the force being distribution.
Then you have a nice flat surface here that it
Yes.
mounts to, so it's pushing all the air down. And what do you got suspension-wise? We see these big old
Yes.
brakes.
So you see, we have Tarox there in Italy, great company, do a lot for BMW Motorsport, and those are 8-piston calipers, huge,
Wow.
nice, lightweight billet aluminum
And they have
calipers.
360 millimeter rotors.
Yes, they are. Wow, that's very good. How did you know that?
I don't know. I could read.
Oh, there you go. Well done. I like, it's really good.
Yeah. What
Really good.
suspension's on here?
KW V3.
Oh, okay.
And really, I mean, it's amazing. You bolt these things on and use factory settings. It gets you very close to where you need to be. These guys know their stuff.
Yeah.
I
I
love their
spent some
components.
time trying to tweak mine on my car and then wound up just putting them back to factory.
There you go. So as you can see, the cooling system, we still use a lot of factory components here as well. So you have the
Factory
white
hard
pipes
lines,
that
yeah.
go, and you can see how we were able to grab quite a few of the factory mounting points to use for the cooling system. And here you can see the base M96 engine. We spoke about earlier about the scavenge pumps, and please forgive how it looks.
We'll never complain about seeing cars that actually get used.
There you go. Thank you. So you can see the drip tanks, how it tees in, goes to the scavenge pump. And then we take that to something that Porsche did very nicely for us. They have this valley in here where when the oil dumps from the cam head area, there's scavenge pumps built in to pull that back up.
Okay.
So we take advantage of that and we dump our oil scavenge into that lower galley using some of
it pumps
Porsche's.
into the bottom of a galley?
That is correct.
Okay.
And then that galley gets sucked up with the factory scavenge pumps. You can see right back here, there's one on the head that pulls up into the crankcase, which is pretty nice.
Cool. And then are these custom manifolds, or are these something bought and then put a V-band on the end?
Yes, these are manifolds that we had that were custom, and then we put a V-band on the end of that and took it to the turbochargers in the rear. And it's something that you can use because we were trying to decide quickly if we're going to stay NA or go boost.
Right.
And we decided, oh, what? Well, let's go boost.
Yeah, instead of decide NA or go boost, we'll put two of these bad boys out back.
There you go, which is pretty nice.
And then, so this engine's all factory, engine, trans, clutch? What are you
Well,
what are you
actually,
working with?
inside here are Tron pistons. This is one of my smaller 2.7 engines, a test engine. We have gold nickel sleeves and Tron pistons.
Lay down and take a look under this thing.
And we have some valve train from Supertech as well. And inside the gearbox, as you can see, this is a factory issued gearbox with a Quaife differential inside.
Oh, okay,
And the great thing about the Quaife differential is extremely robust, doesn't make any noise whatsoever, and it's very, very, very forgiving and serviceable as well. Lifetime warranty too.
Well, you know, this actually looks pretty simple to work on compared to, you know, like when you think about having a mid-engine Porsche where you can't even see the engine. This actually doesn't look that bad once it's up on the lift.
Thank you. And inside the gearbox, we have a 6-puck action clutch, which does a great job in transferring energy from the engine to the gearbox, which is fantastic.
iBox sway bar.
Yes, sir.
And then other than that, pretty, I mean, I'm assuming it's a pretty low mileage car, like all the bushings and stuff look fairly.
Yes, this
like,
car,
nice and new.
the donor car was our 50,000 mile car.
Oh, okay,
that we
cool.
picked up, which is pretty low mileage. And of course, my rear camera. It's nice.
There you go.
And you can see the bottom of the wing very clearly with my friends from Hero who help us out quite a bit.
Nice.
So pretty straightforward, but a lot of fun.
So then these turbos, you said they were like 57 millimeter?
Yes, 50mm billets, and they're internally gated, so you can see the wastegate
yeah.
up top.
So these aren't
with
actually that big
actuator.
of turbos, because that's
No, they're not very big.
That's a T28 flange?
That is correct.
Right?
T25. T25.
Oh, T25 flange,
T25.
okay.
That is correct.
All right, so it's not, they're not super big, but since it's two turbos on a 3.
This is a 2.7 now. The engine that we have designed for this power plant after we work out all the bugs is a 3.4 liter. So that's perfect.
So this
yes.
is a 2.7.
It's a 2.7 engine right now.
Yeah, okay. So when you have a smaller displacement engine, you don't need to stick two 30Rs on this thing. It would never spool. So this is nice. All
That
right,
is correct.
cool.
But using a small engine is really a great way to figure out the chassis, and we learned so much. It's been on 6 excursions so far. We have 2 more testing sessions, and then this engine comes out, and the proper engine goes in, which we're pretty excited
Then he
about.
brings that by and shows us how that line lock works.
Of course.
Well, Bisi, thank you so much for bringing this
It's a
by.
pleasure.
I saw this car at Formula Drift in Long Beach, and I told him he absolutely had to bring this thing by so we could take a better look at it. So super stoked that you get to show everyone, and let him know if he has to bring back some of his other creations, because there's no shortage of really cool stuff.
We have a
from this
lot of
shop.
cars in house, a lot of cool stuff.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Cheers.
Real question. When are you gonna let me drive this thing?
Wakanda forever. No, I'm kidding.